Hello, students. Chomhendo Noirin, you can mute your microphone. Yes, Vicent. Yes, I want to welcome all of you to today's session in business ethics, and to welcome you that we are like coming to the end of our online study, as I indicated on the WhatsApp group. We've started slightly a few minutes late from the time I gave you. I want to apologize. I had another session this morning, and transiting from one session to another was a bit difficult, but thank God that I'm here to wind up with you. I know you've been enjoying the study with us with this course unit, and of course we have studied a lot as far as business ethics is concerned and social responsibility. Today's session is going to be a wind-up session reflecting so much on what we have so far covered, but also looking at the last unit, which is to do with the managing ethics in the workplace. And we will have to wind up by looking at conflict management at the workplace. Conflict management at the workplace. I was seeing that you've got some ideas to do with conflict resolution, the causes, and how to manage conflict. I think we shall do today's session. We hope not to take a lot of time so that we can hear you speak or whatever questions you have. I would have loved actually to make this session a question and answer session, but I would like to reflect and guide on so far a number of aspects we have covered by giving an overview so that you can follow back to it. We already have the handout notes, which are detailed and easy to understand. Although the forum, the WhatsApp group will remain, if there is anyone with a question, we can only close that WhatsApp group when you have finished your exams, so that any of the questions can come on and they should be able to resolve, or you reach to me in my inbox. I will always be waiting and ready to support you. So in today's session, we have got two main objectives to achieve. One, we've got to reflect on a number of aspects we have so far learned. Then two, we are going to look at managing conflict at the workplace. And that is ethics and dispute handling at workplace. How do we manage disputes at the workplace? As you are aware, there is a lot to understand, to know with regard to workplace conflict. Especially, we'll try to identify the nature, the types, and root causes of workplace conflict. And we shall also indicate the steps to deal with the conflict or disputes at the workplace. And we'll also reflect on our own behaviors and practices as professionals on how probably to behave better and in order to resolve any disputes or conflicts that may come on at the workplace. But before we do that, we are going to reflect on the manifestations of ethical and unethical behavior, properly putting it in the context. We have done this before. Now it is probably to wind it up before we can look at managing workplace conflict. Going forward, it is commonplace that employers in Uganda complain about poor work ethics of some of their employees. I know you are going to graduate to employment, but it is important to know this before you get into employment for those of us who are not yet there. Even those of us who are there, it is important, even those of us who are there, it is important that we get to know that workplace challenges or ethics or disputes is not just a Ugandan problem. Employers everywhere are concerned about poor work ethics, which has affected business performance in the majority of the companies. So that is the basis of our today's session. Many employers are concerned about the work ethics of the workforce. This has forced the majority of employers to adapt short-term contracts of, say, 1 to 3 years to ensure that employees are assessed on a regular basis. As students who are getting into the employment field, you must recognize that it is no longer permanent, especially in many institutions, maybe for government. That's where some people say that is permanent and pensionable, but also government has started offering contracts so that employees can be assessed on their performance and whether to be retained or to end their contracts. So it is no longer possible to keep your job using hard skills alone. Soft skills such as a good work ethics are equally very important. And you will also notice that there are core values which many organizations are put in place that should be followed and to guide everyday activities of the workforce. Values like talking about integrity, values like talking about accountability, values to do with the principles, values to do with the ethics. Every organization has got some values which guide their work ethic. Is key to generally a well-known fact that an organization that tolerates or even encourages poor work ethic is more likely to have a high labor turnover. People will be coming and going. I will not mention the institutions, maybe you see some of them, where you see people cannot stay long at the place of work. Then you realize that there is a poor work ethic as the cause that people come and go. If you have be it a business, people come in, or a family at family level, you cannot keep a house helper for 2 months. 1 month goes, another comes, another goes. Then you must realize that there is certainly something that is not right to do with work ethics. Therefore, most good companies are usually prompt in dealing with poor work ethic to avoid a decline in performance and reputation. You can understand from the above situation that being ethical is not only important, but also crucial in any business, as we've always mentioned. So ethics, we have no doubt about this at this level, should be integrated into the basic day-to-day working of each and every employee of an organization. So wherever you go, you will actually be identified differently by the way you conduct yourself, by the way you judge what is wrong and what is right, by the way you give consideration to what is bad and what is good. So I just want to encourage you that having taken up this course unit and studied, really wherever you go to work or where you are working, your conduct must change, and it will guide your day-to-day lifestyle at the place of work. So we've already talked so much about ethics, the beliefs held in a society or an institution regarding which type of behavior is morally right or morally wrong is what constitutes ethics. The characteristics of ethical behavior conduct, we talked about them, including transparency and openness, accountability, admitting faults, appreciation of other people's contribution, respect for self and others, positive attitudes, dependability, trustworthiness, team player, commitment and determination. And of course, whatever we do, we are looking at search for value for money. These are some of the important elements of positive work ethics that are encouraged for you as students, and when you also get into the employment life. There are very many: tolerance of divergent views, use of non-sectarian methods of work, e.g. divide and rule, zero tolerance to corruption, selflessness and hard work, avoiding cliques, intrigue and cheap popularity, truthfulness, time management. Really, there are very many, as we've been seeing along the way, discussing from real life experience. Goal-oriented, loyalty and law-abiding, honesty, exemplary leadership, emphasis on continuous improvement, adherence to policies, quick solutions to problems. All of these are positive elements at the workplace. And we also did study on unethical behaviors. And it's good we would come up with the examples every time we are meeting, that individuals can make a difference in the ESCO expectations and behavior. And we had outlined some of them, like some of the unethical conduct include putting your interest ahead of the organization, telling lies or lying to employees, misrepresenting hours, failure to make reports, absenteeism at the workplace, lack of determination, sexual harassment, internet abuse, etc., etc. And we did highlight that technology is, of course, expanding unethical behavior in all of these. We also discussed some of the causes of unethical behavior, like poor moral backgrounds, job insecurity, lack of commitment, lack of ethical awareness, lack of ethical leadership, and peer influence. Yeah, dishonesty is not genetic, but it is indeed very contagious. When you associate with the people who are dishonest, you are also likely to be dishonest. And we say that people may take different stances on an unethical issue depending on their consciences, ethical reasoning, perceptions of others' views, and their own actions. And this brought us to understanding development of individual ethics that we did study. We looked at stages of moral and ethical development, whereby we understood what is meant by pre-conventional stage. We looked at the conventional stage and post-conventional stage. These stages are very, very critical to identify where you fall. I do believe that by the end of the course, as we are coming to the end of these online sessions, by now you could have moved from pre-conventional maybe to conventional stage. And by the time you keep on practicing, then you'll be in post-conventional, where you follow your personal principles for resolving ethical dilemmas, and you consider both personal, group, and societal interests, not only your personal interests, but you consider generally where you are working and what society values to be the norm, or that is right, or that is considered to be right, as opposite to what is wrong. We did understand briefly about character, and this is character in ethical leadership, but I want to also continue to talk on this. And from whatever we are discussing, we are looking at the attributes of a good character: inspiring, loyalty, respect, responsibility, honesty, integrity, trustworthiness. You have to be courageous. I was finding all these attributes from your presentations and discussions, and I have always been inspired by most of your presentations whenever we would have a session. Vincent has been very, very articulate. Wamukoto and others have been on spot to always share their views and feelings, and of course, as we try to learn and inculcate ethics in our lifestyles. Of course, we did look at ethical dilemmas and understand what ethical dilemma is all about. When an ethical leader is faced with a situation where his important moral values come into conflict, and the leader has to make a choice between these values, then the situation is an ethical dilemma. For instance, you will find that you have got a value of, for instance, being successful, but there is another value of being honesty. So taking a decision between success and honesty can be a bit challenging, and that is what we call an ethical dilemma. Choosing between two values. You want to be well, but here you must be dishonest in order to be well. What do you do? Yeah. So conflict of interest came up very clearly and strongly as one of the major ethical dilemmas that any person who has probably either studied ethics or has gained some ethical reasoning deals with. So in such situations, the leader should assign priorities to values, and one takes precedence over the other. You have to compromise between either success and honesty. But you find being honest can be paying in the long run. Then you say, I would rather remain honest. I know still I can get to success with my honesty. So it is crucial that as students or leaders should take care to balance between both the values in order to avoid unethical decision making. The main ethical dilemmas on the job ethical dilemmas we saw included conflict of interest, honesty and integrity, loyalty and truthfulness, and whistleblowing. We did this in the first handout we had, and they were all well explained during the presentations. We also studied how organizations can shape ethical conduct. We looked at ethical awareness, ethical education, ethical action, and ethical leadership. And we are explaining each one of these, which is well articulated in the handouts you have. Right now, I want to consider about briefly on the code of ethics. Why have professional ethical standards? You will realize that no profession can really exist without a code of ethics to guide the conduct of its members. Doctors have got a code of conduct. Lawyers have got a code of conduct. The clergymen in the churches have their ethical codes, and so on and so forth. Even the teaching profession has got a code of conduct. So code of ethics, the educator's primary professional concern will always be the student and the development of the student's potential. Because here, as any lecturer or facilitator, we are concerned about you and how you develop your potential. And this has always geared our course of study, whether on Zoom sessions or face-to-face sessions. So as any education institution, it is geared to ensure that the students' professional concern is well taken care of, so that you can grow in understanding and also as you develop your career. Ethical leadership, executives have to demonstrate ethical behavior in their actions. When I talk of executives, I mean managers or leaders. Ethical leadership means using ethics and making an ethical decision in situations that are faced by leaders. I will say at your level, you are also a leader. And it does not matter whether you are a leader now or not, but as long as you have an influence, a circle of influence, then you are a leader, and you have the worthwhile to be called even an executive. So as such, you are supposed to depict ethics or ethical leadership by using ethics and making ethical decisions in whatever situation you are faced with. I am confident that, of course, you are not the same. Those who have been attending all the lessons, you have gained a lot. So as one goes up the organizational hierarchy, which I know most of you, and I pray that you go through the hierarchy from a low rank to a high rank, it becomes crucial that an organization should have ethical leaders, people whom you can follow, people who preach ethical leadership. And I think given that you have taken a study in this course unit, that you may be an ethical leader. You lead others and guide them on how to behave and act ethically at the workplace. So that is what is oriented with ethical leadership. So if the leaders are themselves not ethical, the organization cannot expect to function on the lines of ethics and moral values. You must have seen some organizations whose leaders are highly unethical. So what do you expect the employees to do? They will also certainly be unethical. So ethical leadership is very, very crucial and necessary in any institution. So you can understand from the above that being ethical is not only important, but also crucial in ethics, and ethics should be integrated into the basic day-to-day working of each and every employee of an organization. Yeah, so it is important to be aware of your weakness as well as to be aware of your strengths, especially like what we've been discussing. You can also judge yourself to see that this is where I am standing in as far as ethical conduct is concerned. So work ethic is a habit that is learned and built over a long period of time. It is never too late to adopt a positive work ethic that would guarantee retention or promotion or to get you your next job. That is to do with the brief that we have covered so far, and that is all I can say to do with business ethics and what we have been able to handle. We did, of course, look at a number of things, including social responsibility, or what we call corporate social responsibility, the benefits and the advantages. All of these are well outlined in the main course handout that you have. We did not look at ethical theory, but I believe you are able to read the theories about ethics and take them seriously, because they also show you where ethics originated from and the different theories that have been developed. My work and concentration has been to bring out the practical aspects of ethics, and I must say I'm glad that whenever we would end every session, I would get positive remarks showing that actually you got interested and there is one thing or two that you learned out of the study. Right now, I want to back on the last segment, that is workplace conflict management. You could be already having experienced this, or you are able to see it. Wherever you go to work, I want you to always prepare and know that there is conflict at the workplace. And in different angles, we are going to understand this. We want to understand what workplace conflict entails and how we can manage workplace conflict and dispute handling. Yes, gaining this knowledge cannot leave you the same. I must tell you, you'll find that you are a better employee or you are a better manager, especially having to understand how to manage conflict at the workplace. Now, meaning of workplace conflict. I will first of all say that conflict is as simple as ABC. And I call it ABC, not in the nursery alphabet, but to explain what A, B, and C mean. One, there should be what we call the activating agent. There is a cause or a precursor. And you are going to be sharing with me what you think are the causes. I already saw, I think, on the human resource WhatsApp group, somebody posted, I think it is the teacher who had posted. So there should be an activating agent that will cause the conflict. Then B, the belief system of the person involved. Then C is the actual conflict. C now is the conflict. So conflict is as simple as activating agent, the belief system of the person, and the actual conflict taking place. And I want to tell you, even as students, you could be experiencing conflicts, or you are experiencing conflicts amongst yourselves. Conflict is part and parcel of life. And as we go forward, I just want to say that conflict is a lower brain activity typical of survival instincts. People want to survive, and as such, it stems from thought, action, belief, and response to given situations. Then conflict takes place. It is distinctly separate from assertiveness. Never call people assertive and yet they are conflicting. Assertiveness is different from a person who believes in conflict. So it is neither positive nor negative. It is neutral. And we're going to learn this, that conflict is not per se or necessarily bad. In fact, you're going to find that depending on how you handle conflict, then you can regard it as negative if you handle it badly, or positive if it is well managed and well guided. So we need to learn managing conflict at the workplace, and of course also understanding and profiling the causes, how it comes up and how it shows up, and how people react to conflict. Tracing workplace conflict. And here I want to ask those who are following, what do you think causes or brings about conflict at the workplace? For those who already have been engaged at the workplace, so that I can give a summary, a general, generalized points on what actually brings about conflict. Some of these had been shown, but I want to hear from you from real experience. What do you think brings about conflict at the workplace? I may get 1 or 2 responses, then we should be able to proceed. Brenda, thank you. I can see you online, Brenda Nyandoi, and also the other Brenda. You have been participants. You've never missed any of my lessons. I want to congratulate you. I can see somebody will speak. Your microphone is not muted, has been so long. Yes, yes, you are all welcome, by the way. Vincent Arude. Yes, Vincent. Vincent, I'm glad to have you again in this session, which is going to wind up. I know you have so many, you would want us to continue, but of course, we've got other classes we shall be attending to, and I thought that I give in this as my last online session with you guys. I never wanted to abruptly disappear from you, and I thought that we can talk about conflict, workplace conflict, and how to manage it, because I know you are either already there or you are getting there. And when you already have knowledge, they say forewarned is forearmed. When you already gotten the knowledge, then you should be able to do better at the place of work. So tell me, how do we trace workplace conflict? What are the causes of workplace conflict? Maybe I start with you, Vincent. Arule, you can guide us. If you already, you can tell us the facts of causes. Yes, please. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes, thank you very much, sir, and thank you, members, for attending the lecture. Yeah, one of the greatest causes of conflict in my workplace is knowledge gap. The gap between the knows and those who don't know. People who don't know tend to assume that the people who know are trying to bully them. So in the due course, it causes rift between the workmates. That's one. Two, it's a financial gap. Financial gap between employees. Those who get more and those who get less. Those who get less sometimes think that they are overworked at the expense of those who get more, who don't do much. So in the due course, it brings conflict. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for that submission. Any other? I've not seen my friend from Rukunjiri. Yes, yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Brenda, yes.
Yes. Me, I have a simple one. What causes that is normally different opinions in life. Why should I say this? you find that I may have my own opinion, and you also have your own opinion. So when, like, you're in a meeting, you bring up something, the other party will also stand to, like, wanting to go by his opinion. So at the end, that conflict starts, and you will really not look eye to eye.
That's right. That's right. That's a good submission, Brenda. Different opinions, yes.
Yes. And the taste and preference, they also causes that. And another point, like, if some others are being favored, the favor they give the other side, and when you are not being favored, they look at you like, who's she? She's nothing. Let's ignore whatever she's doing, and we go by this one. Definitely, me as Brenda, I don't think I can have that persona. Like, no, I think enough is enough. Thank you.
Brenda, Brenda, thank you very much. I like the last part of being assertive. And this is what I was saying, assertive should not be confused with the conflict. Here, you are being assertive. You, as Brenda, certainly you cannot tolerate such, and as such, you say no. Okay, any other person? The causes. Let's profile conflict at the workplace. What do you think are the causes? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Rachel.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon to you. How are you?
I'm fine. And good afternoon, members. Now, may I have 4 points on that?
Okay.
One is, members in organization try to fight for power or authority, especially those on the top management. If you find so many departments in an organization when all are on the same hierarchy, in most cases, they fight for power. For each to show each other that we are all equal or above you. So that one might cause. And then there is lack of proper job description. You may find that 2 officers in the same office are almost performing the same activities. And so these might collide in a certain way or the other. Then there is discrimination. The way Brenda was bringing it up, some people are favored, others are non-favored. When it comes to giving out incentives, bonuses, so when other people are left out, majority conflict. And then there is fighting for finances. Yeah. Those are my.
Thank you very, very much, Rachel. And I just want to tell you that we are pushing on very well, because it gives me to get to know at what level of understanding, and as we push forward, and probably to prepare for much more, and to be able to manage whatever situation that comes your way. Any other person who wish to contribute on this, tracing workplace conflict? You may have not been involved at work, but you can guess what is there, or you could have had other people. There is much more than that has just been presented by Vincent, Brenda, and Rachel concerning knowledge gap, financial, that is to do with the resources. Some employees are paid more than the others, different opinions, that was Brenda, favoritism, and all of these are bound to happen, yes. Fighting for power and authority, there will be conflict, lack of proper job description, responsibilities colliding. By the way, even when there is what we call underemployment, somebody trained as a profession in one area, but you are given a job or a task or duty or responsibility, which is completely, you certainly, you will get demotivated. You will say, now what's this? And at the end of the day, the conflict will begin in your mind. By the time you know it, it goes and affects the whole organization. So it's true, responsibilities where there is lack of job description can cause conflict. Discrimination. I want to hear you other guys. Do you ever think or imagine of conflict at the workplace? What do you think can spark conflict? Or wherever you have been, even at school as students? What has been causing conflict between you and your fellow students? Maybe we can begin it from there, or from a home background. What is the source of conflict in a family setup? In a family setup, because that's when we can understand the conflict. We are trying to trace it, whereas we are looking at it from the workplace, but we can compare a workplace to a family now. So from a family setup, what are the causes of conflict? Can I get like one or two members here to give in their reasoning? By the way, as we discuss, we are learning, and it also sharpens your ability to respond to questions, so that it is not just mere cram work, but we need to develop people who are able to reason and give in their views on any matter that is presented before them. So can I see receive any other person to come in? Yes, Brenda Nyando, you are speaking?
Yes, sir. To me,
okay, go ahead and raise.
Within the, sorry?
Yes, you can raise your voice, Brenda.
Yes, sir. In the family, I look at lack of respect. If the parents, the two parents, me and my husband, we don't talk one language. He says this in the family, I come up with my other opinion, or like I don't want to agree with what he has told the kids to do. Definitely, that will be lack of respect. And I do my own thing, he does his own thing, we shall not be one. Because if you put respect in between the two, even the children will follow. If you do that and lack of respect, the kids will go astray. So what do we do in this case? We need to have respect.
That's right. Brenda,
open to one another.
Yes, Brenda, stay online before you give a solution. What do you think causes the lack of respect? Remember, respect is an ethical value, yeah? And I am taking it on so that we can understand, to go deeper. What do you think causes lack of respect, say in a family or in any setup? Yes, Vincent.
Excuse me. Yeah, I think what causes disrespect,
yes,
in
lack of respect,
family or at workplace is a superiority complex. Somebody feeling he or she is superior and they cannot listen to others. In a such kind of a scenario, or in a such kind of organization, or in a such kind of a home, definitely, if two people all stand tall, what they will breed in is lack of respect. So, at workplace, at home, one must be in position to accept that I am superior, and the other one must accept that I'm inferior, so that conflict does not exist. So what brings in that disrespect is everyone feeling that I am big.
That's right.
That's according to me.
That's right, Vincent.
Yes. That is according to me. And then another cause of conflict at workplace or in homes is allocation of resources. Where there is disparity in allocation of resources, honestly speaking, there will be conflict. I want to take it back to villages where I come from. Villages, the valuable resource that people value in villages is land. Where a father does not allocate the little land that he has equitable to the hands of his sons, definitely there will be conflict. Likewise at workplace.
Yes.
Likewise at workplace. At workplace, there are resources, whether finance, whether non-financial resources, in a scenario whereby one office is favored at the expense of the other, or one individual is favored at the expense of the other. Say, people doing the same work, one is given a vehicle, another one is not given a vehicle. One is given allowance, another is not given allowance. What that disparity in resource allocation will breed in is conflict. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I saw Rachel. Rachel wanted to say something, but before Rachel, you come in, Brenda Nyandoi was making some fundamental points. I want to go back to Brenda and probably conclude with her. She brought about trying to help us understand, locate, or trace conflict at home, but also relating it with workplace. And we have now developed further to understand the superiority complex. We shall call that ego. Somebody thinks is superior. I want to know from Brenda, is it the same in the children? Do they also exhibit that superiority or the conflict between a husband and a wife? I just wanted to draw it from there and understand probably whether we are in line with what you are saying.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Brenda.
I agree with you, sir, because the whole class, they know me, they call me Mama. And I talk through experience. And I have children. In a family, if you start putting the kids aside and you want to show them that, yes, I'm the best parent you have, there'll be conflict, there'll be disrespect. Because when you put a kid down or children down and you talk to them and they're like, let's have a family meeting and we all discuss and talk one word, yes. But in a situation where Mama comes and talks with her own children and they look at Dad who comes and goes out and does not spend much time with them, and Mama buys them chocolate, dresses them, and Dad looks for all the medicines and does not really pamper them so much, definitely they will come back to Mama.
Wow.
As much as they will pretend giving respect to Dad, they will just fear the Dad, but they will not give respect. There is fearing and respect. I wouldn't love my children to fear me and they don't give me respect. They need to be my friends as well. So I think whatever Vincent was trying to talk, it's just almost the same. It's all ego. Everybody wants to be, I'm the best parent. Yes, sir.
Brenda, thank you very much for bringing us to the perspective of a family. Can we quickly reflect as people will be coming on board, but let's reflect on what Brenda has just mentioned and in agreement with what Vincent mentioned to do with the superiority complex. If you are the mother, you pretend to be superior to over your children. They can fear you, but they may not respect you. They will actually have respect for the dad. For you, it will be fear. And now let's come to the workplace. Do you see managers who manage workplace at the workplace and also conduct themselves in this scenario Brenda Nyandoi has just mentioned, as a senior lady, as a mama? Do you see that poor leadership and management, we are talking about ethical leadership, that sometimes you have disrespect or you are bringing the superiority complex? Yes, you are the manager. Yes, you are the dad. You are the mom. But how you handle these children can also be a cause of conflict. Somebody wants to say something?
Exactly what Brenda has said and what you have explained at workplace. It is there. You find managers, you find superiors. One would want to impose himself or herself on others, and one would want themselves to be felt by others and thinking that others are not doing what's right. It is there to.
That's right. That's right. Yes, Rachel. Yes, Rachel.
They discriminate to the extent of calling these people down as support staff. They cannot associate with them, the support staff.
That's right.
On addition to that.
Yes, on addition.
In addition to the causes of disrespect, I wanted to add on one point of the code of conduct of the managers. I'm going to bring it this way. You cannot find a manager who goes on sleeping with all members in the organization, sorry to mention, and we expect respect for that person. However, he will keep on fighting for the respect, but he will not get it. And you will not expect people to respect that person.
That's very right, Rachel. And that point is also ethical, by the way. You are the manager, you are sleeping around with your subordinates. You are a subordinate, you are sleeping around with your manager. So certainly conflict is bound to happen. And we call that one conflict of interest. Yeah. And at the end of the day, even the people who know, they start begrudging you or rightly so not liking you. And all these are true from what you have presented. I don't know if there is somebody who wants to say something. Then I want to conclude this by generalizing from the points you have given. And I want to show you something that is very important, paramount for all of us to understand as we move forward into the workplaces from what we know to what we do not know, so that we can get to know it. All right, let me proceed in the interest of time to say that tracing workplace conflict comes from these 6 areas I'm going to mention. And they are critical areas. Everything that has been mentioned is right, and it falls under these 6. One is personality or temperament, the who clash. Of course, you are talking about fighting for power and authority. This was Rachel. That's very right. The who clash, the personality and temperament. And you can even see this amongst yourselves. The who clash. Me, I have my money. Me, I don't care. Me, you get it. The who. So the first tracing the workplace conflict is when there is that who, the personality, the temperament, the emotional intelligence, the IQ, and it sometimes goes with the age and experience. You will realize actually people who are still young, the way they reason or respond to ethical situations, small issues can emanate into bigger problems and conflict at the workplace because of that personality trait, the temperament, how to manage emotions. The who clash is a cause for workplace conflict. Number 2 is the objectives or results. In fact, quite often than not, at the workplace, the conflict is as a result of what to achieve. Yeah, that is the objectives. Why? The why disagreement. Why should we do this? Why is this one suggesting this? So, and looking at the mission of the objectives and what should be achieved can be a source of conflict at the workplace. Normally, people disagree in the meetings on the objectives to be achieved. Look, like for instance, at the directors of an institution, any institution, they see things differently, and even harmonizing on what to be achieved, the why can be a source of workplace conflict. Number 3, the methods and the style of work. That is now the how. How do we achieve this? You could have agreed on the objectives. The results are very clear. Our targets are well set, but now the methods and the style of work. People have got different methods and styles of work in order to achieve something. And this is where the code of conduct comes in handy to guide on the course of action or conduct at the workplace. If there is a code, then it will tell you what to do and what not to do. The do's and the don'ts are very clear in the course of execution or trying to follow certain methods in order to achieve the objectives. So the methods and style, the how, where there is no code, then people need to be flexible. If you are the manager or you are the boss and there is no clear code of conduct in achieving something, then it doesn't matter if a person does it his or her own way, as long as we are able to achieve the objectives. And you will see this even in a home setting for Brenda Nyandoi, the children have got different methods of doing the work as long as they achieve the objectives. Take a simple example of, like, say, washing utensils. Somebody will begin with saucepans, then ends with the plates. Another one will say, no, me, I will begin with the plates, then I will end with saucepans. But ultimately, at the end of the day, they have achieved the objective of cleaning the utensils. But you say, no, 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 you shouldn't start with the saucepans. Start with the plates, because for you, that's how you see it. Then the other says, no, me, I want to start with this. And before you know it, conflict has come up in a home of the method to do something you have all agreed to do. Similarly, at the workplace, the methods or style of work differ and can be a source of conflict at the workplace. Interest, what is it in for me? I want to tell you, this is a great concern in almost every organization. And now the aspect of favoritism comes in. You can't see somebody being favored because he sleeps or she sleeps with their boss. And now you feel happy. Certainly the conflict will begin, and before you know it, we are going to look at the impact of conflict at the workplace. The morale will be very low and things of the kind. Before you know it, the organization cannot perform. You are not happy. Everybody's not happy. So what is it in for me? And this is natural. Every individual has got what we call a personal interest. But this interest should be managed very well so that it does not bring conflict. And if it brings conflict, then it should also be managed well, as we're going to see how to manage workplace conflict. So tracing the workplace conflict is to do with the benefits, with the discrimination, with the favoritism. What is it in for me as an individual? Yeah. Next, that is the fifth, is confrontation, the ego. And this was talked about very well also by Brenda and supported by Vincent. That is lack of respect. You know, the ego, the superiority complex, Vincent mentioned here, used the right term, is the cause of the lack of respect. And here at the workplace, this is very, very common, because maybe you are beautiful, you are the most beautiful girl with nice buttocks and whatever, and you tend to overlook the others. You expect this at the workplace. People are different, and for that matter, there are those who will look down upon them. They behave like giraffes. They have a tall neck and they're able to look down upon everybody else. And before you know it, confrontation begins. Even like a short girl will tend to say, no, yeah, don't joke on me. And before you know it, you are either quarreling or behaving unethically at the workplace. So confrontation, bosses versus the junior staff, yeah, middle managers versus the senior managers. You will realize that the ego comes in. I am your boss, I can fire you. Say, no, who are you? You know, things of the kind. So before you know it, that ego confrontation is the cause of workplace conflict. And it also fits in well with the emotional intelligence. At what level? With the age, with the superiority complex, and things get out of hand, which could have otherwise been handled. I was teaching MBA students, and one of the ladies gave a scenario, a real scenario, where somebody's salary was cut without being informed, and yet this person was paying a loan, servicing a loan. And when he asked, the human resource manager didn't have much to say, said, I also don't know. You can imagine the HR manager, and the person says, no, but how can this one happen without communication, without anything? And it went further. Then the HR said, you cannot talk to me like that. I am your supervisor, I am your boss. He said, no, it is my right. My salary cannot be chopped without your knowledge. And if you don't have the knowledge, at least I need explanation to this. And it went further up to disciplinary, because they were staying that near the same residence, staff residence, but the other one is the one who had the key. He had even threatened the other one. I locked the place. But later on, when they went to establish the cause, they realized that the HR manager did not communicate appropriately. Of course, communication was indicated as a major cause. Poor communication at the workplace. And I don't know whether you are learning communication skills, But going forward, you will have to live and learn managerial communication, whereby you'll find that is so fundamental how you communicate and gaining skills of communication. Probably maybe before I end today, I need to give you a tip on how to skillfully agree with the people. And in the future, if we happen to meet, I will be giving you more other skills to do with better communication and skills with the people. So the example I have given you, the scenario, eventually, of course, they had to caution both parties involved in the conflict, but especially the human resource manager was seriously cautioned, saying, if you had behaved appropriately, maybe the conflict would have rose up to this level, and wasting people's time. So among the impact of conflict, you can imagine meetings over something that could have been handled easily, but going to that extent. You have seen small miscommunications erupting into a full-fledged war, even to the extent of overthrowing a government as a result of something that sparks off the conflict, which has been mishandled. Therefore, it is important for us as students to gain these skills and even to learn this particular topic of managing conflict at the workplace. Lastly, transference, past experiences and beliefs. Where people come from home, for instance, when they have already been either betrayed or battered, and you transfer your anger to the workplace, it happens quite often. You're a girl, you have been dumped by your boyfriend, and here you are transferring it with every staff you come across. You are a lady, a supervisor, and here your husband at home battered you. You'll think that every man is a bitch, is a dog, and you have no respect for them. So you are transferring your problem to the workplace. So workplace conflict can be also as a result of transference, or past experience and beliefs. Your belief system. And normally it is important to also check your belief system. When you see that your belief system is not helping you, it's high time to reflect and see what you can change and start behaving ethically. That you do not transfer a problem from somewhere and bring it at the workplace, but it happens, and it is one of the causes of workplace conflict. Some people talked about allocation of resources. Yes, of course, that goes with the objectives and results. As I mentioned, distributions. Resources are always scarce. They will never be enough, but how you distribute them matters. And if you poorly distribute the available resources, then it can be a cause of conflict at the workplace. And also not communicating. If something is not there, let people know, including even payment of salaries. It has brought a lot of conflict in many institutions. Delayed salaries. Can people be communicated that the salaries will delay? That is being ethical. Yeah, if people expect the salary on this time and there is any delay, communication is very critical and is the key in workplace ethics. I mentioned this at the start, and probably even here, tracing the workplace conflict, of course, it comes in when the objectives and the results are not properly matched. The why should be addressed at an appropriate time. So just to comment, you will realize that 10% of conflicts are due to difference in opinion. Only 10% conflicts are as a result of difference in opinion, but 90% are due to wrong tone of voice. You will notice this, and the wrong tone of voice is to do with communication. Yeah, how you communicate an issue and address an issue matters so much to either manage the conflict or even to avoid the conflict. That is the truth. Profiling workplace conflict, you will realize that at the end of the day, when there is conflict, you will see a competition taking place. People will be forcing their way. They will fight up to the end. Tamanyira, Tomanyira will be it. And there will be competition. And the people will want to be at the top of the others. Collaboration may also be as a result of workplace conflict. Problem solving, said, I think we need to work together in order to solve this. People will realize that together they can achieve more. The I is lessened. In fact, among the tools to resolve conflict, I should be lessened. This is why I saw saying use of I statements. No, actually it should be use of we statements. we can do better, we can manage this, we can solve this instead of I. So problem solving, collaboration will come on. Then compromise. At the workplace, conflict can be is profiled by people compromising. Because when there is conflict, people may start realizing they need to share. So we have a few resources. Can we share this? Yeah. So it starts out from conflict, but later on it goes to compromise and leading to sharing what is available. And that is at a higher level of understanding that indeed the resources are limited. There are few. Can we share fairly or equitably what we have? The next, how it is profiled, avoidance. Where there is conflict, some people may decide to withdraw. We have seen many people resigning. I will just say from my experience that avoidance is not a better solution to conflict. In fact, leaving one organization to another as a result of conflict may not solve so much the problem of conflict, because wherever you go, there will always be conflict at the workplace. The intrigue will always be there. So, but there is where you cannot tolerate, and you say, enough is enough. I better resign and live here. It's part and the parcel of life. Also, resigning does not mean that people resign as a result of conflict. Sometimes it may be a growth of an individual, promotion from one level to another level. But where there is conflict, some people tend to avoid or withdraw in order to run away from conflict. Then lastly is accommodation, smoothing. We also find scenarios where many people will say, I'm just there. Let me keep around. What to do now? I have to earn something. So people tend here to be accommodative rather than compromise, but here you tolerate a bad situation and you are accommodative. And I've seen very many, especially ladies or female, they tend to be accommodative because they want a job, they want to survive, so they accept abuse, yeah, especially sexual harassment and abuse at the workplace. And of course, the person is hurting inside, but she has nothing to do about it from the superior or the boss. So you become accommodative. Somebody told us how he had to pay a bribe, a certain percentage in order to secure his job. I think it was Mr. Wamukoto. I don't know, or this friend of ours from South Sudan. So you become accommodative, but inside you don't like what you are doing. The impact of conflict on performance is very clear. People will be laughing at tasks. They will pretend to be working, but when they are not working, they will be mopping at work, fueled by gossip. That is grapevine, a lot of rumor mongering. Morale will go down. Suspicion will be raised. Somebody is just merely talking to they say now this one is a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and things of the kind. Sometimes they are very uncomfortable. People will leave one job for another, job hopping from dissatisfaction. There will be loss of experienced and productive staff. So this is expected. Opportunity for growth for new staff. Others will say, fine, this one has gone now. You are promoted from the positive. The younger staff will be promoted to a higher level because of the conflicts at the top. Some lower staff gain promotion. There's phase out of incompetence. Of course, some people could have been just there, and the conflict may spark it off so that incompetence is phased out, either by people resigning or others being fired. So, it is also easy to identify performers through competition. When people are competing, that is positive results of conflict. Of course, you'll be able to know excellent performers from mediocres. So conflict is not necessarily bad. And as I stated from the start, it is neither positive nor negative. It is neutral. So conflict is a gadfly of thought and learning. Where there is some conflict which is manageable, then people will tend to think critically and to learn and improve. It offers lots of opportunities, and that is positive. Like the example I've given, it also inflicts untold pain and pressure, and that becomes negative. So how we deal with the conflict at the workplace is what determines positive or negative outcomes. Infinix, you are talking. Somebody with Infinix S5, I don't know who this one is. It tends sometimes to disrupt us. Good enough has muted. That's very good. So I was saying that how we deal with the conflict is what determines whether it is positive or negative, whether it gives you positive outcomes or negative outcomes. But as for conflict, it is neutral, and you can never do anything to completely eliminate it. But managing it is paramount, and understanding it is very, very critical. Options to deal with conflict. People will confront. That is a fight response. Others may ignore the conflict. And I want to tell you, sometimes it gets worse. When you ignore the conflicting situation, sometimes it gets worse, especially if you are the manager. You don't need to ignore conflict if you have a way of resolving it. Others tense up, they freeze. For many ladies, they become numb, they don't talk. You've seen people who are angry and they fail to talk and they don't talk. So that is how they respond to conflict. That's an option also, tensing up and freezing response. But of course, this cannot also be helpful in any way to remove the conflicting situation. Many cry, many ladies, women cry. They cry and hope that it will go away. I have never seen people who cry and the problem goes away. So, but of course, it helps sometimes to cry out to reduce on the stress. Psychologists say that when you cry, then the pressure and the stress goes down. So that is another option to deal with conflict. And the most effective way is people talk respectfully, candidly to parties involved. Having studied the ethics, I want to encourage you to talk respectfully and candidly to parties involved. Resolve conflict wherever you are, in your circles, at school, at the college, at the place of work where you'll be going or where you are currently working. Important to always talk respectfully and candidly over the matter and see how we resolve it. We're going to learn on the tips and the steps to take on how to communicate in order to resolve the conflict. Others will run free away or leave the organization altogether. But still, wherever you go, sometimes it is like jumping from a flying pan directly into the fire. Because conflict is there, I told you it is neutral. The way you manage and deal with it will determine the outcome, whether it is a positive outcome or a negative outcome. What story do you tell? Many people have a story to tell, self-interests. Someone lets you down and it's not the first time. What do you say? You say they are irresponsible and unreliable. Yeah? You let someone down and it's not the first time. The story will change. You'll say it's because you have been overworked recently. In a family setup or even in a community, wherever we are, that's what happens. Someone who cuts you off while you are driving your car or your motorbike, you will say they are rude, they are aggressive and inconsiderate. But when you cut somebody off while you are driving, you say it's because you are in a hurry. And if you don't catch the lights, the traffic lights, you will miss your appointment with either the doctor or with an important person. So for you, it is okay, but it is not okay when another person does the similar thing to you. One of your peers buys a boss a birthday card, yeah? Then you will say it's because they are soft-sopping the boss and they are trying to win the favor and the promotion from their boss. When you buy a boss a gift, a birthday card, it's because you are warm and caring. So they are bad-tempered, and that's why they are bad-mouthing you. So you see, the story keeps on changing depending on where you are. And of course, this causes conflict, especially if it is too much about self, without understanding the human nature. If it is you, it is okay. But if it is the other person, then it's not okay. Certainly, that is the story we often tell, self-interests. Steps to deal with the conflict. One, you need to recognize the conflict. Realize when emotions arise. Two, define the issue, not just anger responses. Three, find the right time and place to discuss it. Four, identify your own contribution to the problem. This is normally the biggest problem. The problem is not necessarily the problem, but the problem of failing to identify the problem is the bigger problem. So identify your own contribution to the problem. Here, many people fail. For them, they think it is all right because it is them, like the way I have stated above. When it is you, it is okay. When it is somebody else, it's not okay. But it's important to also identify your own contribution to the problem. List things you have done in the past that have not been helpful. People do not make assessment of themselves. And I want to tell you, if you want to grow in ethics, always try to reflect and assess your past behavior, whether it has helped you or not, and adjust accordingly. Brainstorm. If you are a team or a group, brainstorm the list of the things that have helped you before and find alternative solutions. Agree on one solution to try and not many solutions. At least let there be one solution to a problem, not so many. If there are many, then you can end up getting confused. And importantly, you need to always follow the ground rules of communication. If you are studying communication skills, that is an important course unit. If you studied it before, please, you can always go back and revisit the notes. With the communication, you can never go wrong. Everything actually stands on communication. Communication is key. And if you have effective communication, then you're going to be a better manager. You're going to be a better housewife. You're going to be a better whatever you do, a better employee, a better staff. It's all about communication. And following these ground rules of communication will set you apart and different from any other student. So it is important to learn how to communicate effectively, and to always follow the ground rules of communication. Stay on a target, focus on the goal, and do not deviate. Agree on how each will work toward a solution. Even if you have a conflict with your friend, state the we and not the I statements. We can resolve this. We can handle this matter amicably. We can overcome this problem. Yes, appreciate. Remember, I told you that you need to know your contribution in the problem and accept. Get hold of your belief system. And if it is helping you, hang on it. If it is not, drop it and get new belief system. Set time for another meeting if you can't resolve the matter there and then, and always review progress. Affirm and reward each other as contributors to the solution. You need to have skills on how to appreciate every single act. Appreciate it, especially if it is helping out to resolve the matter. Be open to an alternative solution. Don't be rigid. Some people are rigid. Somebody talked about the ego. They know it all. They are the superior. They are the bosses. Their word is final. There is no negotiation. No. To be a better employee or a better manager, you need to sometimes agree, negotiate. Yeah. Listen, be open to an alternative solution and see whether actually the solution can be so helpful to resolve the matter. So tips for conflict management. You don't need to think that you will always manage where angels have failed. Keep communication lines open and respectful no matter what. Whether in a family or whatever institution, it is important to keep open to one another. Cultivate problem solving. Ask the simple, polite questions. How can we resolve this? How can we manage this? Drop biases and stereotypes. Women are always like this. Men are bitch. They are unfaithful. They are untrustworthy. You know, offer goodwill and seek clarification. Keep all points of contact positive and do not hold back value for the conflict. Remember, I said conflict is neutral and there should be some positives. So do not hold back the value of the conflict. There are benefits out of conflict depending on how you handle the conflict. And you need to gain skills to assess problems and find solutions. Do not always pass blame. Fix the right problem. Fix the problem and not the symptom. Do not ignore the power of complaints. Sometimes people complain for a reason, whether at home, whether at workplace. Listen to the complaint instead of only wishing that people do not complain. Sometimes you need to gain techniques of finding out what the problems are and resolving them. Listen to your team. Keep all points of contact positive. Do not break the contact. Like right now as students, you don't know where you will meet thereafter. Very important as you interact off class forums, please keep those contacts. They will help you and to make you a better manager or a better employee. Ensure maximum flow of information. Be the plumber for your organization. A plumber is the one who fixes whenever there are big leaks where something, rain comes and it flows. So be the plumber. Try to fix those big leaks. Try to be a problem solver. Try to be a bridge to help people come together so that things can start flow and work at the workplace can continue. Of course, I will tell you, I don't believe in the process of that creating harmony should be painful at the workplace. Neither should you be afraid that wherever you go, there will be conflict. No, certainly, absolutely, there's no desire for people to come to work and spend the day arguing with clients or with one another. What we need to do is to have the ability to work very hard and every day until everybody at the workplace is satisfied. This should be our belief, and this is the way to work. I want to end here. by guys saying, yes, thank you very much for listening in. I've taken some time talking. I just want to conclude this session and say this is the end of our online Zoom sessions. But I want to hear from you talk. If you have any question, if you have any comment, if you have something that you are not sure about, please come in and I will be allowing you to speak. What I can answer, I will answer. What needs to be consulted first, we shall be answering you on the group forum. Thank you very much, guys, for listening and attending today's session. Brenda Nyandoi, I think you already want to say something.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
Brenda.
Yes, I still go back to conflict at place of work, where you are saying it's not good to leave the work because of conflict, because wherever you are going, you will always meet the same. To me, in my opinion, I think I would wish to move on. Why? There are situations where you find that you are a manager. I prefer open management, by the way. Why should I prefer open management? You be in a meeting, you discuss, and you agree, we are going to implement this activity, this is the money we have, and this is how we are going to spend it. You get to know out of the meeting, but there are other managers who don't want to do that. And at the end of the day, you find that the money which actually you knew this is the figure, you will find it's not there and it has been spent. Now, why should I bring this? When you don't have open management and someone comes to you, I'm the manager, and you request that, please, I need some allowance and I will pay back. You give in, it has ever happened to me. This is my personal experience. And that's why I decide to, where there's conflict, I move on and I start another journey. Someone came, I gave him the money, which was 8 million, and the person sent for the money. I made it open and I kept the document. But for my surprise, towards Christmas, actually, after Christmas in the new year, I checked and the money, the document wasn't there. Where he had acknowledged that, yes, this is it. And it disappeared. When I had a meeting, I talked about it briefly, but I did not want to conclude. Now, one day I had money, I put in a cabinet, I intended it, just like you can do for children to know that, do I have good kids? Just throw the money there to trap them, that like you throw a stone in a forest to see whether they are animals. Then what happened? The money was picked. Out of the money which was there, they plucked off like 600,000. When we had the meeting, I was forced to pay that money. And personally, I knew I did not spend that money. Now, for the sake of conflicts in an organization, and you push me to that extent, so I think I would wish to move to keep my name safe. Let me learn people, and you get to know this could have been the person who did it, and you cannot even say. And me, I like open talk. I tell you off. I normally don't want to hide something which is paining me. Yes, sir.
Brenda, thank you very much. Interesting. In fact, I will state here that I have loved this class for your openness and being participative, because like right now, I'm wishing not to end. You are bringing me to something else that I need to give you. And I think I have to, from that point of view, a skill, how to skillfully agree with the people. And I respect and agree with your method. Remember, I mentioned that it is an option, the options that people can take to deal with the conflict. And among them, of course, was some people will leave and run. And you are trying to support your position. Being assertive is very good, by the way. So no, in certain circumstances, me, I leave. I will tell you off and I will leave. Yes, it is an option. Although for purposes of posterity and continuity and providing, just imagine the organization losing a good staff like Brenda Nyandoi, who is straight, who is open, who is welcoming, who is parental, who is a mom. just because of a staff who is bad-mannered, who is unethical. So you can see that whereas for you, you live, but the organization is losing, has lost a good staff in you. Although there may be some junior staff who will take up your position and will say, it's good, Nyandoi, Brenda had to leave. Remember, that's why I said confrontation, a conflict is neither positive or negative. It is neutral, but depending on how you respond, whether it will be positive or negative. So the option of running or freeing or leaving is also there. It's not completely that it is wrong, depending on the circumstance and situation, and depending on the ethics we have studied. But all hope is not lost. You can still gain a skill of how to skillfully agree with the people. I will say this is the greatest skill of all skills I have shared with the people. It's just the single most important of all step you can take to be skillful in human relations is for you to master the art of being agreeable. As much as possible, can we be agreeable? Can we agree with the people we are working with, even the most difficult people? And I will give a summary of this. Maybe in the future, in other sessions, I can elaborate more. In the interest of time, I will not go into details. And you can take note of this. But other people who want to speak, please, I will allow you so that you can say your contribution or ask your question. But for the sake of Brenda, who has brought up genuinely what she thinks, I think it is important to share with you skills, how to skillfully agree with the people. One, the art of being agreeable has got 6 parts. The first one is, it is important to learn to be agreeable, to agree with the people. It's not easy, but it is important to learn. You can learn, and this is how you do it. Get yourself into a frame of mind, an attitude of being agreeable. This may sound to be theoretical, but practically when you practice it, you will eventually start agreeing with the people. This is not to do with Brenda's example. This is to do with generally with the people we relate with. In order to avoid conflict, we can, as much as possible, and especially when you're a manager, try to be agreeable with the people. Develop an agreeable nature. Be a naturally agreeable person. So number one is learn to be agreeable in order to be able to agree with the people. Not everything is no, no, no. Even at home, try to be agreeable with the children. Have that mindset of trying to agree with them. Of course, not everything they tell you should say yes. But let there be an agreeable person to be able to agree with the people you are working with. Tell people when you agree with them. Yeah, it is not enough to be agreeable with the people. Let people know that you agree with them by either like nodding your head. That is, even right now you are not seeing me, but whenever I agree with you, I'm nodding my head and I'm saying yes, yes. So let people know when you agree with them. You can nod your head yes, and there's a way a yes is nodded. As respect to a no, you know a no you are shaking across. A yes, it is vertical. The way you swing it up and down, yeah? And look at them when you do it and say to them, I agree with you, or you are right, yeah? Then 3, do not tell people when you disagree with them. And this is very important for all of us, including my friend Brenda Nyandoi. Do not tell people when you disagree with them unless, underline unless it is absolutely necessary. Like what Brenda does, telling them off, yes, it is necessary. You can't tolerate theft. You can't tolerate unethical conduct. You would rather resign. Oh, yes. I have seen people who have left their jobs as a result of unethical conduct of the bosses or the superiors. You are very right. Actually, by leaving, you are behaving ethically. Why should you get intoxicated and compromise with unethical behavior? Yet you have learned ethics and ethical leadership. Yet you believe in ethics and that it works. Why should you steal money in order you want to have a social status with the people? You want to rise up to the occasion, to the level, because that is what everybody does. Having studied ethics should put you at a different level of reasoning, ethical reasoning. So do not tell people when you disagree. The condition is 1, unless it is absolutely necessary. If you can't agree with the people, and many times you will not, then just don't disagree with them. You can leave it there. Sometimes you can actually give the pass, it's okay, it's fine. It doesn't mean that you agree with them, but you find it not necessary to openly disagree with them. Yeah, only disagree if it is absolutely necessary. You will be amazed at how that one will work for you. In other words, we are trying to inculcate a spirit of being agreeable rather than being disagreeable. And I will tell you the reasons at the end why it is important to be agreeable, even if you don't agree with the person. This is not that you are telling a lie, but here you are keeping peace from conflict and being a better manager, a better communicator, an agreeable person. Next, admit it when you are wrong. Some people don't admit faults. Very difficult. Remember when we are talking about ethical issues in an organization and unethical issues in an organization, people pretend to tell lies. People pretend not to agree to admit faults. Admitting a fault is ethical if you can admit. I remember reading when I was still on Facebook. By the way, I got off Facebook when they started putting those restrictions. I said, but why should I keep on cheating to get on Facebook? I had to give up Facebook. Even up to now, I'm not yet back. But before I got off, I read what this man was put Pastor, this Pastor Bugembe. He said he already has got a hero. And when he was being interviewed, who his hero is, he mentioned the retired Archbishop of Church of Uganda, Bishop Ntagari. And the reason was that really, to me, he's my hero, and I don't need even any other hero. And the answer was saying the courage he got to admit a fault when he fell short of the glory of God by sinning, Archbishop at the high rank. I am telling you, many of us, if we are at that position, would find cover of trying to cover up our sin. Also, the David in the Bible, when he sinned, and Nathan, prophet Nathan came to talk to him, he had to admit the fault, because trying to run away from a fault may not help. So we need to learn how to admit when we are wrong, and it is important to be agreeable as a principal factor. Admit it when you are wrong. Whenever you are wrong, say out loud, I made a mistake. I was wrong. It takes a big person to do this, and people will admire anyone who can do it. The average person will, of course, lie, will deny, and will say, yes, I didn't do it. You will try to cover up, or even try to kill the source. We've seen this happening in many government institutions where people murders are taking place in order to cover up the truth. And yet, if somebody can admit, it takes a courageous person, an ethical person. By the way, looking at it from that angle, now you find instead of condemning the former archbishop, a person who came out boldly to apologize and seek for forgiveness, really will still be regarded in high regard. It doesn't matter when other people still take him as a sinner, but himself with God and his conscience, he says, at least I let this out. And I accept I made a mistake. So important to admit it when you are wrong. 5, refrain from arguing. And if there is one thing you can take away from my sessions or today's session, is this point number 5. Refrain from arguing. The poorest technique known in human relations is arguing. Even if you are right, don't argue. Nobody wins arguments or friends by arguing. You can never win an argument by arguing or win a friend by arguing. So refrain from arguing at any level. Wherever you go to work, wherever you are given an opportunity to work, please refrain from arguing. It is part of a skill to be agreeable. Lastly, handle fighters properly. I am telling you, there are people who will provoke you, and when you have done nothing, fighters, they want one thing. They want a fight. They want to see you blow up. They want to see you quarrel. They want to see you annoyed. Let me steal her money so that I know her she doesn't tolerate nonsense, so that you shout yourself out. So the better technique to handle the fighters is to refuse to fight with them. Yeah, they will sputter, they will fume, they will look silly at the end of it. So please, that is the final point, handle fighters properly. The reason behind the art of being agreeable is that, 1, people like those who agree with them. And that's a fact. You also like somebody who agrees with you. Number 2, people dislike those who disagree with them. That is a fact. You can never like somebody who disagrees with you. If your husband is always disagreeing with you, if your wife is always disagreeing with you, you can't like her. And ladies on the forum, just take note. If you are always disagreeing with your husband can never like you. Neither is your husband always disagreeing with you. You can never like him. You can stay together, but you can't. If the children are disagreeing with you, you can't. So it is important to be agreeable. People dislike those who disagree with them. Number 3, people don't like being disagreed with. Nobody likes to be disagreed with. So it is important to be agreeable to others so that others can also be agreeable to you. Those are the 3 reasons I advance for all of us to gain skills to be agreeable people. The art of being agreeable is very, very critical as we engage into employment or even in our life, daily lifestyle. So that's it. That was a bonus. And I don't know if there is any other comments or concerns I can hear from you. Brenda, you have something you want to say lastly?
Yes, sir, just to appreciate, because the way I was handling, you've given me all here. I had all those scenarios and challenges. Even after losing the document, I presented in the meeting, but I could not pinpoint the person who did it. No. I lost that money, and I knew because we are only 2, and I even showed the person, I think, let me leave this money here. I don't want to have it. Next time we shall have it. And the money wasn't there. I knew the person, but I could not mention the name. And actually, you've explained to me here, Tara. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for learning and being agreeable. Any other comments, questions, or concerns? Remember, I have told you this is going to be my last session for business ethics. We may meet elsewhere, maybe when you are postgraduate or any other course, I don't know, but that's it. And I must appreciate you guys for being active and giving in your opinions and views and being part in this teaching. Any other remark? Mr. Wamukota, Michael, yes. Yes, Michael.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon to you.
Thank you. I'm sorry I've just joined, but I also missed up that recap, like you have finalized. I missed that part. But I want to say thank you so much as well, like maybe other colleagues who have appreciated you. We have enjoyed your class thoroughly. Like I said last time that, you know, this has been the best of the best. We have interacted. It has opened my my way of understanding. And I'm sure it has not left me the same. I must say, sir, thank you so much. Like you said, we may meet anywhere elsewhere. We may meet at maybe masters.
You never know. Yeah, that's right. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Michael, for that compliment. Rachel?
Yes, but maybe just...
Okay, Michael, first finish. Yes, Michael, first finish your point.
I was saying that because I just heard you, like you are talking about agreeable. That's the time I joined. If please you can just hint on whatever, just in a few minutes, I can be also of great importance to me.
Michael, let me do that in a summary. I was talking about how to skillfully agree with the people. And remember, we are looking at and here of being agreeable, the 6 parts of being agreeable with the people. And I said, we need to learn to be agreeable in order to agree with the people. I said, tell people when you agree with them. People need to know that you actually agree with them. I said, do not tell people when you disagree with them unless it is absolutely necessary. Then I said, admit it when you are wrong. And 5, I said, refrain from arguing. Then 6, I said, you need to handle fighters properly by not giving them what they want, by not giving them a fight. So they will fume, they will say nonsense, they'll do whatever. At the end of the day, they will actually look silly and they will give up. And these were tips to help us as we go into the world of employment at the workplace in order to be better managers and to manage conflict at the workplace. I hope to make out some notes which I will share with you finally for your take home. And I think I will include these points as I've just mentioned them. That's it. Michael, your request, I think, answered. Rachel?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Rachel, go ahead.
Actually, I have nothing much to say. I'm just appreciating for the work you've done for us since day one. You've been really good to us. We appreciate a lot. God bless you for that and keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you, Rachel, for the compliment and appreciating. I don't know if there's any other. If there's any other, there's a chance. Yes, Vincent is there. I see Vincent. I see Musinga Saur. Musinga Saur has come. Let me first listen to Musinga Saur. Vincent, allow me to allow Saur. I don't know whether he has been hiding. Then Vincent, you talk after Saur.
Oh, good afternoon. I've just missed today's lecture just because I misused my power on phone on Tubuhabuga's speech to wake up in the morning. The electricity was not there. By the way, I need your prayers because I have a lot of hunger now because I missed this lecture and I had even gathered my stories, a lot of stories to share with you today. But finally, in the lecture, I've also missed. I need prayers from, by the way, when we are closing this session, Brenda Nyando should pray for us. Because I have a lot of anger for having missed out today. Talk about what you have just joined when Nyando was giving out her submission. But I was only asking myself, I just wanted you to tell me the significance of what that man of God did to our growing leaders, these clergy leaders. I just wanted you to tell me the significances of it, how it signified. Then to go back to the other issue that you were talking about, here there is a man, he had a girl told her father that she wants to be introduced. Then the father accepted. Are you getting my point? The father accepted, introduced her girl in his family. So the boy brought a dowry of 6 cows and 2 millions. Now, what made the story was the girl got married there in Kabare, somewhere in Kabare, but after 2 years, the girl came back to her father and told him that she wants to go back to school. Now, the man had little money. She could not afford to pay the tuition at Kabare NTC for her wife. Okay. Now, the father said, I'm just going to pay for you. You only ask time from your husband. I will always pay for you tuition. He's a rich man this side. He's my neighbor here. Now, the father paid the money for the tuition. When the girl was joining the second year, she had gone to do what? She had gone to advance, okay? Now, when she was in the second year, the girl got another man. Remember, the girl had wed with the other husband. Are you getting my point? Now, the girl got another man at the university there at the NTC. Now, whoever asked school fees from her father for the remaining period, it's the husband, the new husband that she had got, who paid until the girl finished. Now, the other man to call, the older husband to call the father said, I don't know where the girl is. Now, when the father called the girl said, I got a new man, I don't want the other old man. Now, for the girl, she kept quiet. The man kept quiet for some time, but after asked the father of the girl, where is my wife? The father, his response was that she doesn't know where the girl is. Now, you know what happened? The father just arrested the man who had took her girl. Maybe she thought that he had maybe killed her girl. Are you getting my point? When the girl had rented in Kabare with the other what? With the other man. Now, I was asking myself, what was going to result? What was going to result out of that quietness?
Okay. Yes, sorry, we've missed you a lot, but I will answer, I think, in one word, the first and the second. Because for the second, I may not easily tell, but your first question of the former Archbishop, the significance is one. Oh, the lessons, we may not call it the significance. Let's say, what do we learn out of this? I stated before, probably you had come on, among the tips for conflict management, that do not wade where angels tread. Do not try to walk or push your way where angels are fading. I want to tell you, matters of love are not something very simple. In fact, you think you can just even have an affair and go away with it, when it can bring down a whole kingdom. We've seen it happen elsewhere before. A whole state, you get it, falls just because of that. So in conflict management, whether you're a manager at whatever level you are, you don't need to push your way. There are skills and ways of managing and resolving issues and matters amicably. I want to tell you from the example of the Archbishop, I had not seen it in the light of the way Pastor Bugembe saw it. He said, I have already got my hero. And he gave his reason. Why? At that status to agree to a sin, of course, least expected of a person of that caliber. And that's where we are saying, among other things, admit it when you are wrong. It's not easy to admit it when you are wrong. You're a husband in a home, Mr. Musinga, yeah? And you have committed a crime here. And you know that the crime is going to shame you, bring you completely down, and all your status goes. Will you admit that you have committed the crime? You will say, I would rather die than admit that I committed this offense, especially to my wife. That is what normally happens. But here we are learning on how to be agreeable so that people can agree with you. Rather than hiding and people are able to see it on black and white, you'd rather admit. And the faster you do it, the better. Even in such circumstances, it is very clear. The example you have given, this woman, I hope if she had studied my lesson, she would go back to her former husband and repent. Yeah, but this is what we are going through. All of these are ethical matters. All of these are ethical dilemmas. Maybe she was looking at being honest and being successful. That is an ethical dilemma, that she would rather be dishonest and leave her first marriage than stay poor. Say, no, let me rather be dishonest and get away from this poverty. So such and such. But after this lecture, after these sessions, you are able to have what we call ethical reasoning, depending on which value is you give more stature than the other. You give more time, more priority than the other. There can be two values, and you find you have to make a choice. And that is where we talked about ethical dilemmas. All right, thank you. Let me, somebody I think is, who was to come on next after Saul, there's somebody whom I stopped. Please come on again. Was it Vincent? Yes, I think it's Vincent.
Yeah.
Yes, Vincent.
Sir, my word to you is word of thanks. Sir, from the day you started up to today, your session has been so enjoyous. The way you handle questions and the way you also pose questions back to students has been so enjoyous. Your lesson has been so interactive. I wish all the fraternity of team would sit down and have like 1 week or 2 weeks and take us through ethics. I think team will be of signing institutions in Uganda.
That's very true. Thank you, very true. That's very true, Vincent. It is very important to give regard to ethics in everyday life, in whatever we do at the place of work. So that's very right. Did I see some other person before I close off the session? If there is none, I want to say I appreciate you, everybody, and we can keep in touch on the forum. The forum will remain on until we finish the course, because there can be some communication with regard to tests, with regard to examinations, with regard to any discussions, you can keep the forum active and discussing whatever you think is necessary. Only necessary academic or informative issues. Thank you, people. I wish you a nice weekend. Always take care of yourselves. We still need you alive. And as you complete your course of study, continue to aim higher and to be better people. Michael, you want to say something finally?
No, I'm just excited to have had you all this time.
Yes.
And we are forever grateful as a team. We are forever grateful.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Who is this? Who is this?
Yes.
What is your name, please?
This is Michael Wamkota.
Yes, Michael Wamkota. Thank you very much.
Michael.
Yes, thank you, Michael. Thank you very much. Brenda.
Yes, sir.
Mm.
Mine, I think, is also a word of thanks. I'm so grateful from when we started. To be honest, I didn't expect I would have enjoyed this course unit the way I've enjoyed it.
Thank you very much. You're going to pray for us. Somebody requested that you give us a conclusion prayer.
I will.
Okay, please, thank you. Okay, let's give a chance to another Brenda. You can mute. Then lastly, I will request you to say a conclusion prayer. Okay, Brenda, another Brenda. I had seen.
Yes, I had a scenario, sir. But I wanted to let others first contribute. It's also at our workplace. We are our organization is an NGO, non-government organization. And one day we happened to realize how we were paid, sir. And it really pissed us off. And I don't think conflict in our workplace will end because even our bosses themselves are not willing to agree and like work on those conflicts. So we are just like that. Those ones who succeeded, they left because they were really so pissed off, and the organization as well lost. We are kind of employees whereby our salaries are sent from outside by the donors. But on one day, on succeeding on our salary, whatever receipts in the ED's home were sent there, we found out that if you send 3 million, you're given 300,000 as a salary. Yet the donors send you 3 million per month. So if you send 5 million, you're given 500 savings. So when we chanced on those papers, one of my colleagues was getting 5 million per month minus allowances. So she was paid 500,000. Mine was 3 million and I was given 300,000 per month. So we really felt so bad. And this girl was like, Brenda, I'm going to confront the ED. Either they give me 2 million, they take 3 million, or I end this. And the good thing, she chanced the what? She chanced the email, the contacts of the what? Of the sponsor. So when she approached the ED, the guy was really pissed off, told her, Angela, if you want to go, go. After all, we're just helping you. He didn't know that the girl had already gotten the email and so on, because they are not allowing us to get in touch with these guys. Even if they come to visit us, they totally don't want you to get closer to them. They just bring someone, introduce to you, maybe this is Brenda, you're whatever the person you're paying, and they don't want you to add any more word to that person. They take the sponsor away, no matter the sponsor wants to talk to you. So ended up having serious conflict, almost fighting Angela with the ED, and she ended up calling the sponsor and everything that the organization lost. 3 employees disappeared, and it just ended up like that. But I insisted, and I stayed. So on staying, they got ashamed because I also knew the incident. They decided to add me some money on top of that. You know, I never complained. Neither is that guilt. And really fail to understand, sir, how can such bosses really be handled? Because it pisses us off. Still, conflict will never end, and we shall be annoyed, go to work and even spend a whole without doing work. But
Brenda, thank you very much. I must thank you for that case scenario. Yes, Brenda, I want to thank you for that case scenario. That is evidence that conflict at the workplace is real. And I wish the manager, the boss had studied the ethics. Like you, for your case now, you cannot do such a mistake. You already know that you have to be an agreeable person. Yes, Brenda?
That's true.
I was saying that someday we need to relate them to our real life experience in order to be better people, to be better managers, to be better employees, and that's it. And anything contrary to that, you leave ethics on your own peril. Now you can imagine the staffs are affected, the organization is affected, everybody is affected. Even the person doing it, committing the crime, is also affected. You get it? If it is a police case, and here the person can be in a way summoned to police and has got to pay all the monies that has been taken. Rachel, finally, let me have you, Rachel. Then Brenda Nyando, you will pray for us in 1 or 2 minutes as we conclude our last session. Yes, Rachel?
Yes, I have no contribution. I'm done with mine already.
Perfect. Thank you. I saw you were open. So Brenda Nyando, you can pray for us, and we come to the end of it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes, members, let's humble ourselves. Lord Father, we thank you for our lecturer who has been with us all the way. And we thank him so much. We thank our members. We thank the team, university, for organizing all this, because we had really lost a lot. Throughout the COVID, with the challenges we faced, I believe if we were to be in class, Lord, maybe I wouldn't have picked whatever I've picked from this lecture. Lord Father, I pray the members the way we are, let's try to remain as a family, Lord Father. The Lord should intervene. We shouldn't finish campus and we disappear away from us, from one another. We should continue interacting, because you never know. We need one another and we need to advise one another and to help one another. I may be having an opportunity, Lord, and when you don't open up to me that, Brenda, this is the situation, like one of our colleagues has just told us, I may not be in position. Father, Lord, we ask you in whatever plans we have in life, Lord Father, you have to intervene, guide us, and guide our lecturers, and we pray, despite the COVID situation we are in, allow us to finish our course as we also rejoice in Jesus' name. I pray.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Bye-bye, everybody, and stay safe.
Bye.
Take care. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye, guys. I will miss this class. This class for sure.
Where were you?
Want to miss most of time. Yeah.
I've missed interesting stories here.
We have missed Muzinga's stories.
I have even.
We have really missed over where was he?
Where was he hiding?
Musinga.
Where were you?
Saul.
Where was he?
My power is off now. I missed my power to have
You would have saved that power.
for sure. I've missed out.
He expected school to be open. He had
Saul.
I'm not sure, Carol. Where is come.
So where is Saul? Saul?
I'm here, sir.
I remember we had issues with you.
Mm.
There was a day I posted something on the group.
I had even come with my suggestion for that. I want to talk about
Do you know what?
I had even
Do you know what?
for reference.
Do you know what, Mr. Saul?
Yes.
That's how ethics is enforced in my society.
Mm. This is serious.
Do you know what? That guy stole cows. That guy stole cows, sold them, cows which were meant for his brother's marriage. Just take a scenario whereby your brother is going to marry tomorrow.
Yeah.
Cows prepared for your brother's marriage, or cows prepared for your marriage. I go and I steal them and I sell them. What do you think should the community do for you?
By the way, that one force encouraged me to go inside, make a business from that side. Now, first of all, you did what we call, is it mob justice? Mob justice, yes?
No, that wasn't mob justice. That is a panel of elders, disciplining. The Bible says, you spare a road, you spoil a child.
Yes.
Michael.
I saw the discipline that I've taken a long time to see.
I told Musinga that nothing wrong was done to that guy. Had they gone beyond that, then we would have talked of
that is, I've taken long to see such kind of this. So I'm valued.
God has work to do.
No, you know, sometimes those things we need such in our community to prevent it, to avoid from doing it. Some things are
Exactly, Rachel.
Actually, because now what they prison him for 1 month, then he's out.
Now, how can you compare a cow with a human being?
Mr. Musinga, they didn't kill him. They were just disciplining him. They were just disciplining him.
What I saw.
They were showing him to do things right.
Through that channel. For sure. Guys from your side are serious. That is more than being serious. By the way, I don't like thinking about those things. They were married.
Now, Musinga, just imagine how the sister felt.
Community that you shouldn't do this if you happen to do such a thing in here. This is how you also face it rough.
And actually,
Rocha, I hope you heard my scenario. How would you handle it? Another scenario, who got married?
You know, matters of love. The matters of love are not easy. That reasons as why she did that.
By the way, it's what we are going to find for us who have not done.
But she had reasons. You might think that his reasons might be finances, but when there are other reasons, you know.
So shall we keep them there prevailing?
Yeah, it may be beyond the finances, beyond the sponsorship.
Now, have you seen these guys who they had made prisoners? Those who were working for that NGO, you were imprisoned in, and because these prisoners work for 100 per day, when the boss is paying 100,000 per day, are you seeing the point?
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
Now,
You know,
you see,
some issues are beyond our thinking, because seriously, they cannot be sending you 5 million and you give me 500. It's really,
that
that
one was
is
imprisonment
so much.
indirectly for sure.
And
You
had it been other people, right now they would be in, behind the jail, behind the bars, brother. That is beyond.
I'm
Give
not
someone
blaming
aim.
that NGO, it is the government which is bringing that. Because if they had formulated a law for workers, you would be working on contract, knowing the amount of money you are supposed to be paid.
Exactly. That is where the wage bill comes in.
For sure, we are suffering. We are suffering.
It's very hard to find an NGO. We know that NGOs really provide much salary for its employees. Depending on the,
you are working on the expense of others for sure.
And you can imagine those are the people who are even overwhelmed.
May God have mercy on us, unless otherwise.
And they pretend to be born again, you know.
Those are the people. Those are the people. we even had a lot of trust in Ntagar, but what he did, now it even misguided me. I no longer even attend services. For sure. Anyway. The guy said this one is not our home. We shall have